Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you on this lovely afternoon? Beautiful day. Gorgeous. Not too hot, although it's getting there. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. And hey, good afternoon. Jacqueline J. Smith here. Thank you to those that'll be joining live. And for those that didn't get to catch me live, thank you so much to those of you that will be watching on replay as well. Hey, Zakia, thank you so much for joining. And thank you so much for the hearts. And thank you for sharing with your Twitter friends and your Facebook friends and all of that good stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So come on in. And hey, thank you so much for joining. Jacqueline J. Smith here. Ask HR Lady J, taking you by the virtual hand, assisting you in that transition from your 9-to-5 to business ownership, as well as your HR and benefits questions, issues, and strategies. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining and come on in. Well, today's topic is I've fallen down and I can't get up. And we're going to be talking about workers' compensation this afternoon. And the reason, good afternoon, thank you for joining. And the reason we're talking about workers' compensation this afternoon is I've had like 2 or 3 clients come to me with issues or stories of their workers' compensation challenges. So just thought that might be some information that you all may need to be aware of, things to look out for, think about, etc., should you find yourself in that particular situation, as well as some stories that I have from my 25 years of experience in human resources and dealing with workers' compensation claims. Again, so also to assist you with those challenges that you may be having in that area. So, first off, to start off, most likely, if you work for an employer, you are covered by workers' compensation. There are very few situations in which workers' compensation does not apply. And that would be if you're working for, good afternoon, Shalonda, thanks for joining. That would be if you work for an extremely small, extremely small employer, meaning that employer has less than 3 employees. So you may actually need to check with your state as well, because different states have different requirements regarding the number of employees necessary in order to have workers' compensation insurance. The other thing you need to be aware of is you may think, well, there are a lot of people that are working here in my particular company. You need to know whether they're employees or whether they are independent contractors or acquired staff or leased staff. So they may not actually count towards your employer's workers' compensation requirements. So that's something that you need to be aware of and need to watch out for. Thank you so much for the hearts. They're beautiful. I'm closing in on 200,000 and I am so excited and I appreciate your assistance in helping me get there. So thank you so much. So again, know how, hey, Matisa, thank you so much for joining. So again, be aware of your state's workers' compensation requirements in terms of the number of employees that are required in order for them to have workers' compensation insurance, because it does vary from state to state. And also, if your particular employer is a multi-state employer, meaning they have offices or do business across state lines in different states, you need to be aware of what those requirements and what those parameters are as well. Good afternoon, Krista. Thanks for joining. So, first thing regarding workers' compensation. I've implored you on any number of issues and situations in terms of what to do in any number of areas. So, same goes here. Please, please, please. If you are injured on the job, notify someone, please. If you slip and fall because someone didn't mop up the floor, or if, any number of things could happen. Even if, okay, you may think that this is a minor thing, and it could be minor, but you never know. So even if you get a paper cut, a significant, and okay, I'm really not talking about the little paper cut that, you put some Neosporin on. Hey, Jimmy Shoots, thanks for joining. You put some Neosporin on, put a Band-Aid, and you're good. No, I'm talking about one of those. I once cut myself on a pair of scissors. It was deep. It was not pretty. yeah, it was not a good thing. So if you have a significant injury, and that's a workplace injury, pair of scissors at work, and I'm in human resources, can't be well, nobody can be bleeding all over folks, but still, it's not, what really was not a good sight, was not a pleasant sight at all. But if you get injured on the job, please, please, please seek medical assistance and tell someone. There are several reasons for this. So, number one, your employer needs to know that you have been injured on the job. So they need to be put on notice that you have been injured on the job. Number two, you don't want to, not limit, but you don't want to have your injury come into question at a later date if you do not report your injury at the time. A couple of stories on that one. So had an employee who slipped in the cafeteria or in the lunchroom. It wasn't a major slip, but supposedly tweaked their back. Never reported it initially until probably about 2.5 to 3 months later, came and said, I got injured, I slipped in the cafeteria, I need you to cover my expenses. Yeah, exactly. And then it got worse. It's like, okay, well, number one, 2.5 months ago, I can't go back and verify who, were there any witnesses who, was around you at the time. Hey, we are talking about workers' compensation and the parameters around workers' compensation. So again, had they at least said, I slipped in the cafeteria, I don't know if, anything's really wrong, at least we would have been put on notice that something might have happened. I probably would have sent them to urgent care or something anyway, just to get checked out. But again, we had no knowledge. And then, of course, the workers' compensation insurance company looks at me funny. It's like, why are you just reporting this claim 2.5 months later? It's like, I'm just finding out. I didn't know. So definitely, if something happens, let your supervisor know, let someone in the company know that a situation has taken place and you've been injured on the job. Another situation that I had was someone actually had a pre-existing condition. So they had a shoulder issue that they were being treated for with a physician. So apparently they were at their desk. They were, how sometimes when you sit in a chair, you sit on your, you put your foot under your bum while you're sitting in the chair. So you have one foot on the floor and one foot in the chair. Well, apparently the foot that they were sitting on fell asleep. They went to get up. They fell out of the chair and, of course, injured or re-injured the shoulder that they were being treated for. So, of course, I had all kinds of issues with the insurance company because I was like, that's a pre-existing condition. Why are we paying for this chick? She's already seen a doctor for this. We shouldn't be paying for it. And bottom line, she ended up getting paid for it. Why? Because it happened on company premises, because she fell out of her chair on company premises. Now, had she fallen out of her chair at home, had she done the same thing? Completely different story. We would not have an issue. But because she was at work, she was able to receive those particular benefits. Now, workers' compensation is not meant for you to get rich. So what will happen is, most likely 9 times out of 10, your payment would only be approximately 60% of your regular weekly wages. So again, if you're thinking about, oh yeah, I kind of tweaked something and I need to be out on workers' comp, like I said, it's not a get rich quick scheme in any way, shape, or form. You only get about 60% of your regular weekly wage. Also, you would be entitled to having those medical benefits paid or being seen at urgent care or an emergency room or at a doctor's office, something of that nature related to the injury. Those fees should also be paid by workers' compensation in that particular instance. So please report to someone that something has happened. reports need to be filled out, need to be sent into the insurance company. They will start a claim. Now, if you go to urgent care or an emergency room, if something happens, you may not have your workers' compensation claim number yet available to you, but definitely when you go seek care, make sure that you inform them, make sure that they know that this is a workers' compensation claim. Now, once you've seen the doctor, the urgent care specialist, the other specialist, the emergency room, whatever it is, your responsibility does not end there. You have additional responsibilities once you've been to see urgent care, once you've been to a doctor, once you've been to the emergency room. One of those requirements is that you follow up with any recommended course of action or course of treatment or course of therapy that's recommended by that particular professional. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you're keeping up with any physical therapy appointments, occupational therapy appointments, anything of that nature. That's your responsibility. Your other responsibility is to make sure that that facility has your workers' compensation claim number. Or what will happen is you'll start getting bills in the mail, and then you'll start freaking out and, wondering what's going on. Why am I getting these bills? You need to make sure that the provider has your workers' compensation claim number. So once you're feeling well enough, once you're in a position or able to actually contact your employer, your supervisor, etc., to make sure that the claim has been filed, make sure that you get a copy of your workers' compensation claim number. This will help you in a number of ways. Again, you want to make sure that the provider has the workers' compensation claim number. You want to also make sure that you just have it in case you do start getting bills, because if you don't provide them with that number initially, good afternoon, thank you so much for joining. If you don't provide them with that number initially, even if you go back and give it to them, stuff happens. Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Stuff happens. Someone put it down. Someone didn't write it down correctly. They've got the wrong number. They've got the wrong insurance company name, any number of things. So make sure that you have that number on your person, or make sure you have it available and handy at all times. And also the workers' compensation insurance company name and number. Make sure you have their information. We are talking about workers' compensation and the things that you need to be aware of and need to watch out for and need to look out for and consider when dealing with workers' compensation. Thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate that. Jacqueline J. Smith here, just to reset. Jacqueline J. Smith here, HR, Ask HR Lady J, taking you by the virtual hand, assisting you in that transition from your 9-to-5 to business ownership, as well as human resources and benefits related issues and concerns. Today's issue is workers' compensation. So we talked about how if your employer is required to have workers' compensation insurance, that in the event you are to be injured on the job, you immediately notify someone. Immediately tell someone that something has happened, you've been injured, you need to seek medical attention, etc., so that they're put on notice that a report or a claim needs to be filed with the insurance company. So make sure that you tell someone. When you go to the emergency room or urgent care, make sure that they have your workers' compensation claim number. If you don't yet have a number, make sure that when you do receive a number, you write it down and you provide that information to them after you have had your visit. In the event that you do receive a letter or you do receive a bill in the mail from that particular provider, thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate you. And those of you that'll be watching on replay, I appreciate you as well. Make sure you write your workers' compensation number on the bill that you receive and send it back to them and let them know that it is a workers' compensation claim. Also, give a copy of the bill to your human resources department so that they can follow up with the provider as well as the workers' compensation insurance company regarding that particular claim. So those are several things that you should be aware of and need to look out for when you're dealing with workers' compensation. Again, also, if you have been required to have additional services if you need physical therapy, if you need occupational therapy, if you need some other type of treatment. Make sure that you're complying with those guidelines that were provided to you by that provider. If not, you could have issues with workers' compensation further down the line. So one of the other things is the workers' compensation insurance adjuster may call you to find out what happened, the parameters, did you actually tell someone, where did you seek treatment, etc., things of that nature. So just make sure that you have that information available and ready to provide to them should they call you. So just a few issues and tips regarding workers' compensation and how you should go about governing yourself if you should find yourself in that particular situation. Like I said, any number of situations on any number of areas, but if you are at work and something happens, again, definitely tell someone, make sure that they're aware. Make sure your employer is aware. Make sure that the provider is aware that it's workers' compensation. You're not going to get rich off of workers' comp. And thank you so much, Matisa. Appreciate that. So if you have any additional questions or you need some additional information on workers' compensation, definitely send us a message at bit.ly/askhrladyj, and we will be more than happy to assist you in those particular areas of concern. Also have a basic employee benefits book coming out. It's on pre-order. You can find that at bit.ly/askhrladyj benefits. We're going through any number of things regarding deductibles and co-payments and flexible spending accounts and health reimbursement arrangements and health spending accounts and any number of things that can kind of be a little dicey or you may have questions on. Thank you again, Matisa. Appreciate that. So that's on pre-order, $19.99. Get your copy now. It's coming out soon. It's just in the final edits and we're working on the cover, and that will be out very shortly because, again, those tend to be some of the sticking points or areas where people are kind of fuzzy and not really sure of what some of the terms mean, how they apply to you as an individual, employee, etc., and things of that nature. So again, to reset, Jacqueline J. Smith here, Ask HR Lady J, taking you by the virtual hand, assisting you in that transition from your 9-to-5 to business ownership, as well as human resources and benefits issues and concerns. So it is Wednesday afternoon. It's a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. I would be completely remiss if oh, great. I'm so glad you found this information helpful. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the amazing Danielle Winningham at Well Speaker. If you're not following her, definitely follow her. She has provided such a platform and such a resource and such valuable information that I would not be here in this position being able to provide you with all of this knowledge. I've got so much stuff in my head from my 25 years of working in human resources, and just from her encouragement, able to come out here and actually share it with you so that hopefully you are able to be effective in dealing with some of these situations. As well, my leading ladies in business, I appreciate you so much. Awesome group of women. We come before you on Wednesday mornings starting at 8:50 a.m. The 6 pillars of leadership, and we are a dynamic group of 6 individuals. Zakia Monique with Purpose to Profits, helping you deal with your good afternoon, helping you deal with your purpose, finding out what that is. Faye Lawrence with Team Building and Leadership. Then we've got Val de Brazil helping you get your sales game on, so that if you are an entrepreneur and you are in sales, definitely getting your sales, because if you don't sell anything, you're not making any money, most likely won't be in business. And then we've got the queen of customer service, Romonica Gamble, who will help you with your customer service game, because if your customer service game is not tight, also you'll be losing customers and you won't have a business. Good afternoon, Miguel. Thanks for joining. And then last but not least, we have the Spitfire. Get Fit Virtually, Matisa Wooten. Woo, woo. Thank you, Matisa. And Matisa will help you with your health and wellness and fitness, because if you do not take, there we go. If you don't take care of yourself, you will not have, and you get sick and something happens, who's going to run your business? You will not have anybody there to be able to take over, especially if it's your business and you are the primary person there to care and be responsible for that business. So all 6 of us here to lift you up and be supportive in any way we can. Also, we have an assessment. If you find yourself needing assistance in any of those areas, you can find us at bit.ly/LadyBizAssess. We will take your information, make sure the appropriate coach gets the information that's necessary and contacts you to be able to address your particular situation or need. So again, this afternoon, we're talking about workers' compensation, making sure that in your workers' compensation area that you understand that not all employers are required to have workers' compensation. So make sure of what your particular employer's workers' compensation situation is like. If you get hurt on the job, make sure that you tell someone and let them know that there's been a situation so that they can file the claim appropriately and in a timely manner. The workers' compensation insurance company gets really funky about not receiving claims in a timely manner. If they receive claims anytime after, thank you so much, Matisa. If they receive claims anytime after like 10 days, they start looking at you with the side eye like, why are we getting this claim all late? You knew this happened a while ago. Why are we just finding out about this now? And then there are other issues and concerns, not only with the workers' compensation insurance company. They may call you and ask you additional questions and, just kind of probe you and prod you. And it's like, why'd you wait so long to let your employer know? And, what took so long, et cetera, et cetera. So just be timely. Make sure that you provide your employer with that information that, you did have a situation or something happened at work. Make sure that you follow through and follow up with any required therapy or appointments and things of that nature that have been asked of you to go to, as well as make sure you get a copy of your workers' compensation claim number. This is very critical. Why? Because if you don't have a copy of that number, yes, ultimately stuff will get done, stuff will get paid, but it's just so much more drama. Why? Have the number. You shouldn't get a bill, although if you don't have the number with you when you go to the emergency room or urgent care or the doctor's office, you may receive a bill. If you receive a bill, make sure you put your workers' compensation claim number on the bill and send it back to the provider and let them know it's a workers' compensation claim. Also, make a copy of the bill. Put your claim number on the bill. Send that to your human resources department so that they can follow up with the provider and with the workers' compensation insurance company on your claim. People have been receiving bills, for months and months and months and months, and they tend to ignore them. Please don't. I absolutely will give advice. Send me a message at bit.ly/AskHRLadyJ. You can put your question in that area and I will respond to you regarding your specific situation or issue. Good afternoon, Queen Adrienne Stuckey. Thank you so much for joining. So again, workers' compensation, nothing to play with. You don't want the headache of continually receiving bills from these providers looking for money. And then what happens is, this is the other thing people tend to do. Okay, I had workers' compensation, so I shouldn't have to pay the bill, so I'm just going to ignore it. Please don't ignore it. Please, please, please don't ignore it. And why should you not ignore it? Hey, from Cincinnati, thanks for joining. The reason you don't want to ignore it is it's a bill. If you ignore it, ultimately, you're going to start getting calls and other correspondence from who? Collection agencies. You don't want the extra drama of having to deal with a collection agency. So, follow these guidelines and these parameters in dealing with workers' compensation claims. Make sure you have a copy of your workers' compensation claim number. Put that claim number on the bill, send the bill back to the provider, put the number on the bill, send the bill to your human resources department. You may continue to receive bills, but don't get on the phone and start engaging with the folks, because 9 times out of 10, it's a billing department. They don't want to hear it. They weren't actually there when you had this particular procedure, treatment, urgent care visit, emergency room visit, etc. Don't engage them. Tell them it's a workers' compensation claim. You've forwarded the information to your human resources department. You forwarded the information back to them so that they're aware that it's a workers' compensation claim. So please don't ignore any bills that you get regarding your workers' compensation claim. And again, you will not only receive bills, but you're not going to get rich off workers' compensation. It's 60% of your regular weekly wage. So, you want to be on it as little as possible, but if you're hurt, you're hurt. Definitely don't take advantage of it, but definitely use it if you find that you are in a situation where you need to use it. So, workers' compensation will pay you some supplemental income, and they will also take care of your medical expenses for that particular issue. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining. So the other thing that you want to be aware of is you want to make sure that if something does happen, recognizing that there are not always observers or there's not always a witness to a particular situation, but to the extent possible, thank you so much for inviting follows. I appreciate that. And thank you for the hearts. I appreciate them so much. I really do. So if you if you do have witnesses, make sure that you get their names and their information as well, because the workers' compensation insurance company may also want to talk to any witnesses that observed this particular situation or whatever happened. So you definitely want to make sure that you have that information available. If there's no one available, then you don't have to provide that information, but you also want to make sure you have the name and number of your supervisor or the person that you reported it to. So whoever you reported it to, definitely make sure you have their information available as well. So to reset, Jacqueline J. Smith here, Ask HR Lady J, taking you by the virtual hand, assisting you in that transition from your 9-to-5 to business ownership, as well as your human resources and benefits related questions and issues. So that's just about all I have for this afternoon. Thank you so much of those to you that are joining live. Thank you to those of you that will be joining via replay as well. Definitely go back, watch the replay. If you have any questions regarding workers' compensation, how it works, etc., or a situation you may have, definitely shoot me a message at bit.ly/AskHRLadyJ. Also, again, pre-order your benefits guide, What You Don't Know Can Hurt You, at bit.ly/AskHRLadyJ benefits, and that will have a host of information regarding your co-payments, deductibles, HIPAA, what HIPAA means as far as your employer is concerned. You need workers' comp insurance, definitely shoot me an email or shoot me a message at bit.ly/AskHRLadyJ and let me know your specific question, and we will get you some assistance. Also, for you're a painter, okay, I'm not sure if you work for a company, but definitely send me a message there and we can address your specific or your individual situation. So for those of you that may have, and you will be having open enrollment come up soon, so this guide will be a resource for you as you go into your open enrollment situation, so that you are aware of what the different terms mean, how that works, etc. You're a one-man business, you may not be eligible for workers' compensation. You may need to look at your individual state's plan. As a solo entrepreneur or one-person business ownership, you most likely don't have workers' compensation specifically in Illinois, so definitely reach out to the state and find out what resources and what benefits you do have available as a solo entrepreneur or solo business owner. So definitely do that. And so grab your benefits guide, your employee's guide to benefits, because what you don't know can hurt you. Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. No problem. What you don't know can hurt you. Invaluable information on knowing some of the terms and how they apply to you as you're going into your open enrollment situation. That will be coming out soon. You can pre-order it at bit.ly/AskHRLadyJ benefits, and we'll get that out to you. We're just working on the final tweaks. It's been written. We're working on the final tweaks. We're getting the cover done, and then it will be available to get to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. afternoon. I greatly appreciate it. Again, thank you for the hearts. Thank you for tuning in. And we will be before you again a little bit later on this afternoon, probably somewhere around between 5 and 6 this afternoon with some additional information. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.